Greetings, everyone. If anyone is out there, Robert Spencer here, director of Jihad Watch, author of various books on this and that. And, a long time people have been telling me, David Wood and others, that if something strikes me, I should just pop online and make a video. And I thought, the time has finally come. I actually don't usually watch these debates, these elephantine, hours and hours long slugfests. I don't really understand the length of these things, but in any case, a lot of people, starting with actually This Week in Jihad last week, while David and I were still on, I started seeing in the comments a lot of people saying, you got to see this debate between Sam Shamoun and Dyer and Daniel Haqiqatjou and the other guy. It's so exciting. It's so amazing. It's world historical. It's very consequential. And I ended up getting curious. I did think, I'm interested at least in the first part, Trinity versus Tauhid. There were other parts I admit I did not watch, but I watched the beginning sections about the Trinity and Tauhid, and then I noted that the Muslim side, as they always do, no matter how badly they get beaten, they were claiming victory. And I saw a very interesting thing online at Twitter or X that Daniel Haqiqatjou posted, that he said, this sums up the debate, okay? And it was a picture of the Muslim side, and it said, Allah is one, full stop. And then there was a picture of the Christian side, and it had all this type going all the way down the page, so small you couldn't read it. And the implication, of course, was that the Christian stance, the Christian idea of the Trinity, is a needless complication, that the Islamic view is wonderfully simple and therefore true. And that, of course, is indeed what they argued in the debate. Daniel Jew, or as he calls himself, Haqiqatjou, based his case on logic, or what he claims to be logic, essentially repeating the silly Muslim idea that 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3, not 1, and therefore the Trinity is false. Now, David Wood destroyed this argument utterly a few months ago, and so there's no need for me to repeat all that here. But it's also worth noting that St. Basil the Great, who is revered in the Orthodox Church and the Catholic Church as one of the greatest Christian thinkers of all time, he also exploded it 16 centuries ago when he wrote, there is found in them, that is the persons of the Holy Trinity, a certain inexpressible and incomprehensible union and distinction. Now see, union and distinction, that's something where Haqiqatjou and the other fella could not or would not understand, that there could possibly be something that could be different in one way and yet the same in another. Since neither the different, this St. Basil goes on, since neither the difference of the persons breaks the continuity of the nature, nor the common attribute of substance dissolves the individual character of their distinctive marks. Now, admittedly, that is something that is beyond human understanding to a tremendous degree, but we can understand the idea that entities can be different in one way and the same in another. Yet Daniel Jew insisted that this was illogical and overcomplicated, and that Islam's view of monotheism, Tauhid, was true because it is simple and easy to understand. Dyer, of course, during the debate, he exploded this issue, this idea also. But here I kind of thought, gee, I wish that they had discussed this more, because I think this was the heart of the matter, and that's actually why I am doing this video today. Because what Dyer said was that just because something was simple didn't mean that it was true. And likewise, the debate went on in a different direction, but I think the point was actually well taken, that just because something is simple doesn't mean that it's true, really was the heart of the matter, that I likewise believe that. And I think that's the point that actually kills Daniel Jew's argument. Many years ago, for example, I bought a book that was written by Albert Einstein, and it was called Relativity, the Special and the General Theory, a Clear Explanation that Anyone Can Understand. And I remember standing in the bookstore. Those were things we used to have where it was a big room and they were full of books, and you could actually buy them. They don't have those anymore, but in those days, I used to like to walk around in bookstores and see what they had. And I saw this book, and I have to say, the subtitle is what actually got me. A clear explanation that anyone can understand. And I thought, well, how can you pass that up? I thought, I don't know anything about science. I don't know anything about relativity, physics. Forget it. All that is way beyond me. But here he is telling me this is a clear explanation that anyone can understand. Well, I bought the book. The explanation may have been clear, but I was not able to understand it. It was way beyond me. Nonetheless, the consensus is that Einstein's theory explains a great deal about how the universe functions. Now, of course, a theory is a theory. I'm confident that one day another theory will arise. Maybe it will encompass what Einstein says and surpass it, just as Einstein's did Newton's theory and so on. But anyway, that's where it is right now. Now, even aside from the theory of relativity, however, and the progression of knowledge in the scientific arena, it is clear that creation is extremely complex. The human body is so complex that even today there are some ailments that doctors can't figure out how to deal with. There's still a great deal to be discovered about the workings of the natural world and of the universe and of the human mind. Yet these Islamic apologists would have us believe that the creator of the universe, the author of all this complexity, who clearly encompasses all this complexity because this is how he organized everything, that he cannot possibly be difficult to understand himself. He cannot possibly be beyond the limits of human intellect. What Daniel Jew, who calls himself Haqiqatjou, was actually saying is that Einstein's theory is complicated, therefore it must not be true. If you look up in the sky, the universe looks as if it did in pre-scientific ages. The sun rises and sets, and it revolves around the earth. The idea that the earth revolves around the sun and that both are part of much larger systems is likewise much more complicated than the understanding we would get from simple observation. And so Daniel Jew would actually say that it must be false, that the sun must revolve around the earth, which is understandable since actually in the Quran it says that Alexander the Great, Zulkarnain, traveled to the end of the flat earth and saw the sun setting in a muddy pool, this being chapter 18, verse 86. And so that must be, because we can understand it and it's simple, that must be the truth. Well, unfortunately, reality doesn't work that way. And sometimes reality is complicated. In the case of the Trinity, there is no reason why, on a logical basis, it is disproven, because it's simply saying that there is something here, there is an entity, a being here, God, who has persons and nature, and that there's three persons and there's one nature. There's no being like this in the world, but why should we assume that God is like every other being? Why should we assume, as Daniel Jew said in the debate, that God is going to be someone that we can encompass and understand? And so it seems to me that the Islamic argument here was overly facile. And I'm sure that probably AP and David in their discussions of this debate, which I have not, unfortunately, not seen, and that others in discussing this debate, they likely have covered this. But when I saw Daniel Jew saying, putting up his little chart with the God is one and the Allah is one and the complexity on the other side, as if this were some kind of slam dunk argument. Maybe slam dump is a good way to put it. In any case, I thought this warrants some mention. This is one of the reasons why these debates sometimes they generate more heat than light, because these guys are so astonishingly ignorant, really essentially stupid, that they can't even understand the arguments that are being made against them. And then they go around crowing and thumping their chests about how they've won. It's just incredibly ridiculous. But anyway, I wanted to conclude the little live stream here by, in the first place, noting that I quoted earlier St. Basil the Great, who, as I noted, is revered of Orthodox and Catholic Christians. And just to underscore the centrality of the Trinity for Christianity, it being a central core Christian doctrine for all Christians of all sects, with the exception of a tiny minority, you could even say a tiny minority of extremists. But anyway, I just wanted to emphasize the universality of the doctrine by quoting now a Protestant, C.S. Lewis, who says, "If Christianity was something we were making up, of course we could make it easier, like Islam." He doesn't say that part, that's me. But then he goes on, "But it is not. We cannot compete in simplicity with people who are inventing religions. How could we? We're dealing with fact. Of course anyone can be simple if he has no facts to bother about." And that, my friends, that's the situation of Islam. They don't have facts to bother about. So it's very easy it's very easy for them to be simple and then present themselves to the unwary as being the simple and clear truth. Well, the truth is the truth, and the truth is one, and the truth is reality. And sometimes it ain't simple. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I know this has been quite brief and didn't intend for it to be long at all. But if you have any questions, put them in here now. I'll look for a second, and then we will go on our merry ways. Let me see. Any here? Of course, there are no super chats. We are not allowed to have super chats because I'm such an evil guy, and YouTube has me demonetized. So please do help us to meet expenses. Contribute to our Patreon under the name Robert Spencer, or contribute to Jihad Watch at jihadwatch.org. Jihad Watch is a 501c3 organization, and your contributions are tax deductible. All right, I don't see any questions, so thank you very much. It's good of you to have been here, and may the triune God bless you.